So thank you for being here. I want to ask you a specific West Virginia question to begin, and this is on Corridor H. Corridor H, which is the state of West Virginia's highest priority highway project. It's a section of construction was delayed another year when FHWA declared the section from Wardensville to the Virginia state line as a major project, requiring additional documentation. Given that the $500 million statutory threshold for major project, why did the FHWA declare this project, estimated at $475 million, a major project? Why did you go beyond what the scope of is the $500 million threshold? Million threshold.
Yeah, thank you, Ranking Member. And I fully understand your urgency on getting this project delivered. I look forward to visiting with you, hopefully in the next month or so. I specifically asked our division, why was this redesignated as a major project? And the answer was, given that the construction cost estimate had gone to $475 million, with all the pre-construction activities, design, right-of-way, and others, they felt that it would go over the $500 million threshold. And it is not the first time that we have used proximity to $500 million as a reason for redesignation. Illinois had another project that did happen on.
Okay, so then, so you use the discretion there because this does impact additional documentation and review. So, and it slows the project, which is already a project that, by the way, has been on the books for probably 50 years. So what factors does the agency use to determine when to designate these $500 million? So you mentioned other costs that you thought, but you couldn't quite quantify that to push it up over the 500. What other aspects do you use to when you do this, when you push our project and the Illinois project up to the major project listing?
So my understanding, Ranking Member, and I'm happy to follow up on this on specifics, but the $500 million threshold is all costs of the project. So there's your construction costs, there's design, utility relocation, right-of-way, that you would acquire as part of that. So that's where the $500 million is. And then there's also, is it a particularly complex or complicated project is another threshold that they can apply. But what I would also say that I don't know about it adding another year. What it does also allow us to do is provide cost and schedule assistance for West Virginia. So I have directed our division staff to make sure that they are providing every possible piece of assistance to West Virginia on this project.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a very complicated piece of highway through a beautiful part of our state. It's very expensive to build where it is, and we get to the Virginia line, we're hoping that the Virginians then will take it over to 81 so we can have a full shot into the center of the state. Let me ask you about one federal decision. I mean, I touted it when we passed the bill as being such a great aspect in terms of permitting. And when you were here, we were provided with information in March regarding the use of one federal decision provision for major projects, and you had 8 that were using that provision at the time. Have there been any other projects added to that number, to that list?
Ranking Member, thank you for that question. I will need to come back and follow up. Have any more been added? Okay,
and then it's most of these original 8 projects have either been delayed or had their timeline extended. So we're trying to shorten the time here, and it seems like we're not really achieving the goal. So what kind of accountability, because you're supposed to be the coordinating for all the other agencies, Fish and Wildlife and others that are involved in this permitting for major projects, what kind of accountability do the other agencies have to you when you're trying to achieve this one federal decision? And what's your opinion of whether one federal decision actually works? Because as a state administrator, you would have welcomed this news to say this is going to be great, and I'm sure you think it is great, but is it really working?
Thank you, Ranking Member Capito. Yes, when I sat on the state DOT side, I welcomed any and all opportunities to accelerate project delivery. Right. And I just want to be careful how I phrase this. When you say that we have the authority, I think we work with our sister agencies who issue the permits. We don't issue permits. We're the coordinating agency trying to get across the finish line.
Yeah, but there are mandated timelines within this. Do you oversee those with the other agencies?
Yes, we clearly and we are often in meetings with our permitting agencies around the various and sundry issues, whether it's the FSK Bridge, the Cape Cod bridges, all of the just, sort of thornier projects that require permitting. And I will get a specific answer as to like how we hold them to account, or if that's the proper term.
But are you finding that it's shortening the timeline? Is it achieving its goal?
Senator, I would say that I feel that we are making progress on trying to hit timelines. It is the reason that these projects take a long time. There are issues around Fish and Wildlife. That Fish and Wildlife, as part of their mandate, they do need to make sure that wildlife is protected. That the Army Corps of Engineer is looking at issues like the right whale that uses the Cape Cod Canal is not impacted by the construction around that project. And so I would say, yes, they share a desire to move them properly, but we don't want them to be in a position where they're shortcutting what they need to get done.
So I would say more directly, the answer is no, it's really not working quite the way we had envisioned it. Not that we don't have goals to see that work. So whatever we can do to help with that process, because we use this as a template for other permitting legislation. And if it's not working here like we had it in the IIJA 2 or 3 years ago, aspirations are great, but you're talking time and money here and significant impact. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just follow up on this, because I'm a little confused. When you say a site can have more than one port. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the 500,000, is that ports or sites?
Ports.
Ports. Okay, so that's going to impact. It's not going to be 500,000 sites. I would just say, you said 178,000, I think, were already built, and they were mostly private sector. What does that tell you? Public sector, private sector, the private sector gets it done. And, so I think that's the direction that I believe that was the direction we should have gone in the beginning. We didn't win on that because the private sector knows the answers here. I'll just leave it. That's just a statement, because I do have something very happy, and you're going to love this. I have 3 interns here with me today, and I want to take an opportunity so you all wave when your name gets called. I have Sydney Magna from Fairmont, West Virginia. I have Kelsey Rees from Morgantown, West Virginia, and I have Ford Sutton from Charleston, West Virginia. So thank you all for helping out today and for coming to this hearing. So they travel West Virginia roads all the time. They love Corridor H. They want to see it completed. So if I could get them right up here, they would be. So you're going to come see me on Corridor H, and we're going to show you our bridges. And I wanted to give just some of the highlights of my opening statement, just to get on the record. Certainly proud of the bipartisanship that we had at the IIJA, and show that we can work together and really, I think, achieve good results. Some of the implementations come into focus, and we've had some testimony to that. And we've seen how the formula funding really is benefiting certainly my state of West Virginia. And that's why I was so adamant that 90% of the funding provided by this committee through the IIJA needed to be that formula funding. And I know you understand that probably better than all of us sitting up here, having been the implementer. We have already discussed that discretionary grants are a universal point of concern for our stakeholders. There's too many strings. It's taking too long to get these out the door. And these timeline delays, we've talked about the inflationary costs of construction, and obviously this is going to be impacted. And then that's when we get to this August redistribution thing. My understanding is the large driver of those increases is the TIFIA program. And so given that, let me just stop here and ask you to confirm this, that the discretionary grants, this August redistribution, is caused by not getting the discretionary grants out on time, and also the TIFIA. Those are the major drivers of the August redistribution?
Yes, Ranking Member, primarily. Primarily.
So those are the two things I'm concerned about. I am concerned by the proposal, including in this 2025 budget, that would transfer $800 million of Highway Trust Fund contract authority from TIFIA to 2 discretionary grant programs when we're having trouble already getting the discretionary dollars out. I look forward to the efforts to speed this up. This discretionary grant process time is definitely ticking, and I'm concerned about that. I think you know my feelings on joining with Senator Kramer, the Congressional Review Act on the greenhouse gas. I said repeatedly, talked to Secretary Buttigieg about this. We debated this vigorously as we were writing this bill. It was not included in our bill intentionally because we negotiated it out. And, you know, sometimes you win, you lose in negotiations. That one lost. And I do think that the Senate spoke here, and I don't think that the FHWA has that authority. And so we're now in the courts to figure out exactly how far the department has gone in that. So I think we're cooking along here pretty well. Obviously, I think we've highlighted some problems that you're aware of that we want to have congressional, because the intent in the bill was to have one federal decision working properly and expeditiously, to have the dollars going out. We're going to have these EV charging stations. These are just some of the things I think that my fellow members have brought. So you're coming this summer, hopefully, and we'll get together and show you wild and wonderful West Virginia, and we will also show you, have our stakeholders in to talk about more deeply some of the issues that we see as we try to tackle the difficult challenges of building infrastructure in these inflationary times. I thank you. Your office is always, and you personally, very open, very transparent, very much appreciated from this senator from West Virginia. Thank you.